Welcome to the Black Entrepreneur Experience podcast, inside the business, buzz, and brilliance of Black entrepreneurs. Here is your host, Dr. Frances Richards.
What happens in Vegas goes all over the world on Black Entrepreneur Experience, episode number 101. Thank you for joining us as we elevate the Black Entrepreneur Experience by interviewing CEOs, thought leaders, innovative thinkers, and Black entrepreneurs around the globe. I'm your host, Dr. Frances Richards, and today I am so humbly honored to have with us just an amazing guest. So every one of us, we want more time and energy, freedom and flexibility to dedicate to our families. Can you imagine a board-certified internal medicine physician, life coach, mom, wife, living life on her own terms? Our guest is Dr. Nana Korsah. Is doing exactly that, and her discovery of elusive work-life balance is allowing her to not only keep her happy, but to help other medical doctor moms with finding their own elusive work-life balance. Welcome, Dr. Korsah.
Thanks for having me.
You know what? I have given our audience such a brief bio about you, and I was doing research on your extensive bio. Why don't you fill in the gaps and share with our audience what you'd like them to know about yourself and your company?
Thank you. That was a very good bio. I appreciate that. I am a former nephrologist, and for those of you who don't know that, that's a kidney doctor turned internal medicine hospitalist. And I'm board certified in internal medicine. And currently I practice medicine in a non-traditional way. I work only on as needed basis, doing a locum tenens job. And 3 years ago, I was working crazy hours and working locums, and as needed has allowed me to have that work-life balance that I always desired and deserved. All thanks to my coach working with me. And her impact on me was so great that I thought to myself, I need to let other people know that such an industry as coaching exists and that it's the resource, the secret sauce that is hiding in plain sight that we can all engage in to get more of what we want in our lives.
Talk about that aha moment, Dr. Korsah, that you knew that your business idea and you transitioning from this full-time medical doctor into coaching. How did you know that you were going to be successful?
So the aha moment came when my coach worked with me, and she helped me see that the path that I was going down was not the only path. I was working 100-hour work weeks. I barely got to spend any time with my kids. And she got me to see that in life, we have many options available. There's so many possibilities, and you cannot see them unless you're intentional about your life. So she worked with me. She helped me design the balanced life of my dreams that I'm living now. And I thought, I need to help other women in my position. Busy physician moms, other busy career women that want time freedom, financial freedom, and flexibility of schedule to spend more time with their family to get the balanced lives they always wanted. So to get started, after coach training, I started blogging and doing Facebook Lives, and lots of women started emailing me and commenting on my posts about how they've been through similar situations. Some had already made their transitions, and others were reaching out, asking for help. That's when I knew I was onto something.
What is one lesson you wish you knew prior to starting your business?
I wish I knew that starting your business is not going to be an easy road, but it's worth every bit of it. When I first started, I was a complete dreamer. I was totally excited. But the reality is you got to be committed, you got to believe, and you got to do the work until you get what you want. It's not like a 9-to-5 job where everything is handed over to you. You have to go out there, get your message out, like your little bat sign, right? And the bats will come to you. You cannot control who responds, but just go out there, put yourself out, and the people that are meant to hear your message will come to you. So that's something I learned the hard way, but I'm glad that I'm at that point where I know that it's not just about me. It's about serving and loving on people and serving the clients that come my way.
Dr. Korsah, talk about one daily or weekly habit that you do consistently that has given you the greatest success.
Social media. My preference is Facebook. I post daily, and I'm in a lot of Facebook groups, and I get to be around like-minded people in those groups, and I get to interact with other physicians, and I get to help people who need answers, questions that I can help with. And on my business page, I have lots of free content that people can consume to get the help that they need. It's been something that I do daily that I never miss. That's been super helpful. Outside of that, it's exercising daily. That keeps me sane.
Any specific exercise that you enjoy, or do you do a variety of different exercises?
I love to walk. That's my main form of exercise, and I enjoy walking in my neighborhood. That was part of the reason why we moved to Dallas. It's warm most of the time, so I like to be out there in nature walking, and sometimes listening to my walking meditation as I walk. That really brings me joy and keeps me sane.
You talked about your business page, and we'll have an opportunity also at the end for you to give this information. But someone's listening and they're saying, what is her business page? Why don't you give that information now in case someone is multitasking and they're listening and they want to log onto your page so they have that information?
MD Work-Life Balance, that's the page. And my website is the same thing, mdworklifebalance.com.
So talk about your ideal client. You mentioned entrepreneurs, busy women, MD, someone listening and they're going, I'm not a medical doctor. So why don't you go into your ideal client?
My ideal client is that busy career woman who has a young family and is feeling overwhelmed and pulled in all directions and has no clue what to do next to get some relief. That can cause a lot of suffering, and I'm passionate about helping women in that position to end the suffering and to open new doors of possibilities for them so they can access and design the life that they desire and deserve. And the best part of it is I also teach them how to get out of debt, have an emergency fund, which is like 3 to 6 months of their living expenses, and start building wealth by saving, investing in the stock market, in real estate, and having side gigs. Because at the end of the day, you can design the life of your dreams all you want, but money is what can fuel it. So if you don't have the money part down, you're really not going to be able to live that balanced life that you want and deserve.
Talk to a younger you. What advice would you give to a younger Dr. Korsah?
The advice I would give her is get your personal finance in order now. You don't have to wait. Now, even if you're in college or medical school where you don't have any money, you could start educating yourself and coming up with a blueprint that you can kick in full gear once you start making some money. And the best resource that I found is Dave Ramsey's Baby Steps. And his book, The Total Money Makeover, has those baby steps that I found very helpful. And that's a very program that I use to get out of debt and come up with my wealth building blueprint.
I agree with you 100%. Love Dave Ramsey, and this is not a paid endorsement. This is just our personal opinion about Dave Ramsey. What is the biggest challenge of being an entrepreneur?
The biggest challenge is knowing what to do next. It's a journey that is on a very narrow path, less traveled. Most of the time, you're doing something that you're the first to do, and there's no set plan as to how it can be done. So if you're not careful, you can easily get distracted. So I try to solve that by just focusing on the next step that I need to take to get what I want.
If someone wrote a book about you today, Dr. Korsah, tell us what would be the title of that book.
The title of that book would be The Financial Missionary, How to Make Your Money Work for You so you can live the life you always wanted.
I love that. Speaking of finances, a big question comes up is, how did you finance your business?
I financed it through my 9-to-5. I saved money specifically for my business, And so I'm bootstrapping all of it. And then as I get clients and I get money coming in, I reinvest a lot of it into my business.
Talk about your top 2 influencers and what lessons do they teach you?
Hands down, my top one is Oprah Winfrey. As a Black woman, when I was starting out, I thought to myself, who is a Black woman out there who's killing it? And Oprah came up. I studied her quite a bit, and what she taught me is love yourself and stay in your lane and do you. My next influential person is Brooke Castillo. She is a life coach that is killing it in the industry, and she's a good example of what the possibilities are for life coaches. And that's her life mission, and I totally love that. Because her success gives me hope.
What is something that we should know about the industry of life coaching, Dr. Korsah, that we don't know?
I think everybody should have a life coach. Unfortunately, most people have no idea what the coaching industry is. Life is not perfect. We have many detours, many roadblocks, many problems coming up, and having a coach can help us navigate that. I found out about life coaching by accident 3 years ago through a podcast, and I noted that all the top achievers and top performers had coaches. That's why I got one, and the impact was so strong I had to become one. Right? All our athletes, Olympians, they all have coaches. Why not have one for your life? If you're on the fence or you're curious about it, you should try it. You might like it. In my case, I really love what happened, major transformations. And I'm living the life that I always wanted as a result of working with a coach.
We know that the industry of coaching, life coaching, whether it's business coaching, marriage coaching, and that industry has expanded. It's exploding right now. How do you vet a good life coach?
That is a very good question. The way I see it, it's not a regulated industry. If you find a coach that you can connect with, that can help you get where you want, you found your coach. Now, if a coach is telling you to get in debt to work with them, you might want to think about that. But for the most part, most coaches are good. But just like any other industry, there's some bad apples. If your intuition tells you something is off, you should follow that. But if you connect with the coach and you feel like they're the ones that can help you, I will go with that.
You know, we've talked about you can learn from successful entrepreneurs, peoples, or brand individuals that are, or brands. Tell us a brand or a business that is dominating or that you admire and why.
I hate to sound like a broken record, but I'll say Brooke Castillo, the life coach school. It's a brand that's killing it. Not only is she killing as a coach, she's training some excellent coaches, and her coaches are also doing great work in the world. So I really like that brand and the message and the mission of trying to be an example of what's possible for others. At the end of the day, it's about serving people, right? In business, the financial reward we get, it's a product of how much we serve people.
What is your biggest achievement so far in business?
I think I have several of them. Anytime my client wins, I see that as a big achievement. Their success is my success. That's what brings me the most joy. It's really nice to see a woman go from being overwhelmed and stressed out and having self-doubt, low confidence, to living the life of their dreams and totally having their back and just killing it in whatever they choose to do. It's really nice to see somebody whose finances are just a big mess and they have no clue what's coming in and what's leaving their bank accounts. Take them from that place to a place where they know the math doesn't lie and they get a blueprint to work off to help them get some peace while they, navigate their finances and live the life of their dreams. It's nice to see doctors who struggle with passing the boards finally pass the boards and feel like, oh, I'm a great doctor. Now the paper supports that. Those are the things that bring me joy, seeing my clients succeed.
So, Dr. Korsah, what have you not done in life that you dream about often?
I would like to go to Australia And hopefully in the next 5 years, I can make that come true. I love to travel, but I haven't been to Australia yet.
Talk about work-life effectiveness and how do you make it happen in your business?
That's a topic that I love, as you can tell. The way I make balance happen, basically my calendar is my boss. I start out by deciding what my top priorities are, and then I make sure my calendar reflects my top priorities. And so my day-to-day reflects what it is that I want. That's how I get balance. For example, in my case, my top priority is spending time with the kids and being there for my family. So I always put the kids' activities on my calendar first, followed by my activities with my husband. And then, since I work as needed now, look at what is available out there in terms of shifts. And then I work on the days when there are no conflicts of interest with my family's activities. And as on days that I'm not going to the hospital, I just block my time in chunks at home so that everything is taken care of. And then the night before, I look at my schedule to make sure everything is in place, and then I just follow my schedule during the day. Because when I first started being entrepreneurial, I used to get caught up in social media, and next thing, I get up, I'm posting on Facebook, and by the time I'm done on LinkedIn, it's like lunchtime, and I don't get anything done. But now everything is put down in chunks of 2 hours. And I just follow the calendar. That way everything gets taken care of and I'm not caught up in mind drama thinking, oh, what was I supposed to do again? I didn't do it. If it's on the calendar, it's as good as done. So then I don't worry about I'm missing out, I'm not doing X, Y, Z. Everything gets covered that way.
Your calendar, is it a paper calendar, electronic calendar? Talk about your calendar.
I'm totally old school. My calendar is a paper calendar. So I write everything on there. Everything is handwritten.
I want to step back a couple of steps and I want you to expound a little bit on the conversation when you talked about working as need be and working as an entrepreneur. And I just want to make sure that the audience is not confused. So why don't you talk about your journey about when you talk about working as need be and building this coaching business or as an entrepreneur? Someone might say, I don't understand. Is she working as a medical doctor? Is she building her coaching business? Is she running a coaching business? So just clarify for our audience about what you're doing right now.
Absolutely. So currently I'm wearing 2 hats. I still work as a physician, but instead of being in a traditional practice, I work something called locum tenens in the medical field. That's it's not a regular job. It's you working on a per diem level and helping hospitals and clinics when they need help. And you have the option to pick the days and times that work for you. Now, that's not automatic. That's something that you have to work at. It took me a while to get there, but it is possible. And then when it comes to my coaching business, that's more of my side gig. And on days when I'm not working in the hospital, I work in my coaching business and doing the marketing, sales, doing consultations, working with clients, recording podcasts, Facebook Lives, that kind of stuff. So I'm currently wearing 2 hats.
Let's switch gears for a minute. Let's talk about risk and failures. What is the worst moment in business and what was your takeaway?
The worst moment in business was when I thought Facebook ads were going to make me super rich in a short time. And I was doing it on my own. Very bad combination. I tried doing it on my own. I failed miserably. Nothing really came out of it. So I decided to hire it out. And so far it's working better with me hiring it out. I am not good at Facebook ads.
What is a technology tool or a technology platform that is a must-have for managing your business day to day?
For online entrepreneurs, definitely whichever social media platform that you like, it's a must. And for me, it's Facebook. I think it's much easier to find your tribe on Facebook. There's so many groups that you can become part of and learn a lot and interact with like-minded people. And most of the clients I get are from social media. I think that even if you're not on there for personal reasons, you should cultivate your tribe by posting and commenting on people's posts and networking that way.
You know, Dr. Korsah, we all have those moments in life where we call it like your turn back moment. And that's a moment in time that you wish you could turn back to. Tell us about your turn back moment and what moment in time would you turn back and why?
That's such a good question. But you know, truth be told, I'd rather not go back.
Okay.
So I have to say I don't have one. Because if I go back, I still have to come back through the whole thing again. So I like to focus on the present and the future. The past is done. If I had to be pushed to pick one, I would say graduating from medical school. Maybe I should have just gone straight to internal medicine and left nephrology alone. But you know what? Nephrology served me really well until it didn't serve me anymore. And thanks to my nephrology fellowship, I met my husband and now I have my family. So even if I choose not to practice nephrology anymore, I wouldn't change that because I have my family now. And without that, who knows what would have happened, right? So that's my 2 cents on that.
Talk about your legacy. When it's all said and done, how do you want to be remembered?
I want to be remembered as a woman who had her life transformed and was passionate about other women having the same. And that was my way of having impact in the world, changing and helping one person transform their lives at a time so they can be the change agents and go out there and help transform other people's lives.
Dr. Korsah, talk about self-care and give us tips and strategies for self-care.
Self-care is so important. Prior to my transformation, thanks to coaching, that was something that I wasn't aware of. And now, self-care is part of my daily routine. Every day, every morning, I have an hour of my self-care routine. And there was one book that I read called The Miracle Morning, and that book really changed my opinion on self-care. It talks about how you can win your day by winning the morning. So I borrowed a lot of my self-care ideas from that book. And they have an acronym called SAVERS in that book. The S is for silence, which is meditation and prayer. So I do that in the mornings. And then the A is for affirmations, speaking, positive things into your life or reading positive messages. I usually have my affirmations program in my phone, so it's easy to access. And then V is for visualization, which I don't do yet. I still struggle with that, but I'm working on it. Then we have E for exercise, which I do every morning by walking outside in nature. And R is for reading something positive. I try to read something daily. I really read in the morning, sometimes at nighttime. And I also like to journal at nighttime. So that's how I take care of myself.
And what do you do when you hit a bump in the road? How do you adjust, reset, or pivot?
I let myself feel the feelings of whatever it is. If it sucked, it was disappointing, I let myself feel it. And then, since our thoughts influence our feelings, I try to nail the thought behind what I'm feeling. Once I have that thought, work on my mindset to come up with a new thought that would serve me better. And that's usually all done through journaling, like documentation of the thoughts and replacing that. And then I also, in my journaling, ask myself 3 questions. What worked? What didn't work? What can be done differently? Because in life, everything that happens to us that's unexpected is trying to teach us something. So I try to learn something from it and move on from it. So once I come up with what could be done differently, I implement that and I move on. Sometimes, I have to repeat and rinse several times before it sticks. But that's how I usually deal with situations.
What is one word that would define who you are, Dr. Korsah?
Loving. I think love conquers all. So I just love to love on people.
Talk about your most memorable moment in life or business.
My most memorable time in life is the day I got married. I was an older bride. It was exciting to see that happen for me. And in business, really, anytime my clients win, that's a good day for me.
One of the things that I've so enjoyed about our time interviewing is when you shared about your memorable moment in life about being an older bride. And throughout our interview so far, everything that I'm hearing is when you talk about love, the one word loving, nothing is impossible. And you're dropping so many value bombs without even saying them. If someone is really listening to what you are saying about how you went from this life that was filled with just a really busy schedule, 100 hours working a week, just it could be consumed as chaos. But it all comes back to nothing is impossible if you believe. And I love the message that you're giving out because someone is listening to this podcast and they're saying, wow, I desire to be married and I'm older. And you and I had this in-depth conversation prior to jumping on the podcast about the mindset. And someone has told them that it's not possible, that you're too old, it's no good men. I want you, Dr. Korsah, to talk about mindset.
I believe mindset is everything, really. Because if you have your mind right, you're going to get what you want, right? Now, I guess I can speak specifically to women who are looking to get married. So if your thoughts about or circumstance in your life that's not working for you is negative, unfortunately, that's what will manifest in your life. If it's positive, that's what you get. And I'm sure some people are like, oh, great. That sounds very delusional. Too woo-woo for me. But you get what you focus on. Now, if you're older and you don't have somebody, I'm not saying that believing that you get somebody will drop a man at the step of your door today. But if you think, well, I'm not married yet, that's okay. I still love myself. And there are lots of older brides out there. And my prince is still out there waiting for me. An example that I like to give because I love the royal family, right? Meghan Markle was in a bad marriage. She left, and that gave her a chance to meet her prince. Who knew a black woman that's older than her prince could end up being royalty, right? But I bet she believed that she still had somebody out there for her. Her prince was still waiting, and she got her prince. Now, on the other hand, you could be like, oh, I'm old, nobody loves me. I'm just giving up. Men suck. So, even if your prince is knocking at your door, you're like, what do you want? Get out of here, right? You're just going to repel the good things from coming into your life. So, examine your thoughts about the situation. Keep an open mind. And you never know what will happen. Worst case scenario, even if it doesn't happen, you're not going to be miserable. Instead, you're going to have joy and peace of mind because of the way you think about it.
I love the example you gave about the Duchess of Sussex, Meghan Markle. She's one of my favorites. Like you also mentioned Oprah. We have kindred spirits. Both of those young ladies I absolutely adore, and I have to share a story. Some may know, and this may be new information for others, but as a wedding gift, I sent Meghan and Harry a copy of my book, Hey Little Girl, She's Got Swirl, which talks about embracing who you are if you are a multiracial child, and we know they're going to have some swirls. She's pregnant as we are recording this podcast, so I sent it to her as a gift, and they acknowledged receipt of receiving the book. So my book is in the palace.
That is awesome. Fantastic.
So Dr. Korsah, talk about the person in your childhood or lineage that inspired you.
Easy, my mom. She's my share for sure. She's a retired school teacher. She's always got my back. She's my biggest cheerleader. And I don't think I would have gone this far in life without her. She is the kind of role model that I'm happy to have my kids exposed to.
And Dr. Korsah, if you conducted this interview, what is the one question that you would have asked yourself? And I want you to answer that question.
That's a very good question. Let's see here. Okay, what day of the week were you born on? I know most Americans don't know that, but I'm originally from Ghana, and most of us know what day of the week we were born on because we use that to name kids. And I was born on a Wednesday, and a female child born on a Wednesday in Ghana is called Ikuya.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that information.
You're welcome.
We've come to the part of our interview. It's called the Fun Facts Lightning Round, and I'm going to ask you a series of questions, and I'd like you to answer them. And if there's a question you desire not to answer, feel free to say pass. Are you ready for the Fun Facts Lightning Round?
Yes.
Okay, tell us the last movie you saw.
I don't watch that many movies, but the very last movie I saw was Tony Robbins' documentary on Netflix, I'm Not Your Girl. I know it's been a while, but yeah.
And you relaxed doing what?
I relax, believe it or not, listening to podcasts.
Love it. Your favorite singer or rapper?
My favorite singer is Beyonce. She's fierce. Love her.
Your favorite dance song?
The Happy Song. My kids and I like to have dance parties using that song. So,
what food you eat every week, no matter what?
I am on my banana kick lately. I eat bananas almost every day now.
And your favorite month?
August, because I was born in August, and I'm a Leo.
Dr. Korsah, tell our audience what is the best way for our audience to connect with you and to support your business.
The best way for people to reach me is by going on my website, www.mdwork-life-balance.com. And I actually have a free gift on there, which is a guide to getting the work-life balance you desire and deserve. It shares the story of my journey of how I went from 100-hour work weeks to living more of a balanced life now. And I can also be found on Facebook at MD Work-Life Balance.
Dr. Korsah, thank you so much. That's a wrap.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for listening and subscribing to Black Entrepreneur Experience. We would love for you to leave a review and rating on iTunes and share with your friends. For show notes and more episodes, go to www.beepodcast.com. Join us next Wednesday, and remember, green is the new black. So keep your bank accounts and your business in the black.